Let's see where they take us for this map, because this is going to be a map where globals will be more priority, which has never been the way of GLuck. Like, if this is how they go out without dropping a single, or rather without winning a single map in part 2, important distinction. You told me right after we closed the break, I was like, oh, well, I mean, they have won a map before.
I mean, they won a game in the first part of Phase 2. But, I mean, I think you can look back at that and see that it was sort of either forced or anomalous. And I think Part 2 has really kind of told the story of GLuck, as they really, really struggle to put things together. Well, and I think any team would, honestly, against Ballistix, so it's not a slight to them.
When we look at this draft, like, I want to see if GLuck will just die as they lived, basically, in terms of going for, let's see how we can kill one hero and then win a 5v4 fight for their entire identity for Phase 2 after Relic was gone. They were a team fighting team. They had some macro elements when Relic was on the squad, and okay, this is at least a good look over the Genji and the Maiev we saw previously. Let's see how they utilize the rest of the, their draft here to perhaps look for something deeper. Map control, boss control is such a huge thing when you have Hanzo here. You could draft around SC if he doesn't pick up one of his heroes here. Okay, well, he did, so he has to. That's why Ballistix' drafting is a little bit predictable. But the Muradin pick is so good on this map because of the Muradin bush, bot temple, and his ability to boss check. I'd say, like, of all maps, this is Muradin's best. I mean, that bush is called the Muradin bush because Muradin can jump from that bush to safety. I mean, come on.
I mean, it's high praise to pick, Muradin as a tank either over something like Diablo, which was first picked last game, but also, I mean, you're still giving up the potential for Tyrande, which we saw as soon as the rework came through, was first picked in lots of regions, but specifically Korea, every single game.
Yeah, that win rate's dropping a little bit today.
Yeah.
But
I think that was bound to happen. When every team is going to first pick it, some team has to lose.
Yeah, obviously we'll always approach 50% if if every team is doing it. Diablo will be banned, so locking that out here. Whereas GLuck is now going to look to probably ban the white main, you would have to imagine. Remove some of the power of Muradin here. Karzim is very powerful, and so is Deckard on boss control and on this map in general when you're fighting over shrine control, especially, specifically the bottom shrine.
Whoa.
With both available, even if you ban like the white main, they can get the Deckard. If you ban the Deckard, they get the white main. This one's more of a catch-all, but I worry that Ballistix will just pick Blaze now. And
right.
GLuck doesn't have a fallback option.
I mean, that's been their fallback the entire season, or the entire phase, is to just go right back to Blaze. This is the Blaze phase. But, I mean, they don't really have to pick it immediately. It seems like Ballistix, as they have been for many weeks, are still on the Raynor hype train, and they've figured out how to use him very effectively. 2-0 so far.
Well, with this Karzim coming through, it kind of alludes to what I was saying earlier. But they leave Blaze open, so this could get really interesting. I mean, we're looking for solo laners on both sides here. Thrall comes into the picture here as a solo laner, in this case, with Tyrael. So more boss control with both of these heroes. Sundering, fantastic at that. Tyrael, Sanctification, and obviously Holy Ground. So what are they going to look for to counter Thrall? That's going to be an awkward matchup. They may just have to go back to the Sonya pick here.
I mean, Sonya certainly wouldn't be bad, but the struggle still exists, right? Like, how are you going to find like that initial kill? It's not something that they've been able to. That is a Valera.
That's right. Well, the Valera, very powerful roaming hero. Operates very similarly to a Zeratul, for example, and does usually end up being the sole laner in most compositions. We've seen it most commonly on BOE in Korea. But it's usually used to shut down a mobile hero like a Tracer, sometimes shut down a Zeratul because of the ability to silence that Valera has at unexpected angles. More popular before the Cloak rework, where it was basically literally impossible to see where she was unless you have a really trained eye. It's now very obvious at the pro level. So the threat of Valera is always going to be there. but I don't know how this is going to operate versus Thrall in solo. I thought that we might just see Sonya, because it's a losing matchup for Thrall, but they picked Muradin, so you can gank the top lane a lot. This is going to be kind of a weirder game.
Yeah, and I'm certainly not used to seeing that. Maybe GLuck are kind of thrown for a loop here. You obviously don't get too much HGC stage experience against that particular solo lane matchup. I mean, obviously, it's more of an objective map than it is like a necessarily just a straight up macro map. But I mean, it is the objectives that will win you the game here inevitably.
Yeah, and you know what? How this all pans out, I think, will be based upon the execution of this Valeera. I mean, if it does not go well for Ballistix, GLuck has massive advantage in boss control, and they do have consistent damage over time. They can match Raynor with the picks of the Hanzo and the Thrall, which work really well here. So, okay, here's the first silence. That's going to be a kill. Big overextension here. I'm not even entirely sure what was attempted there. Meanwhile, that was a traded kill.
That was such a long mind game. You could tell that it was like, well, how hard can we bait sorry, I'm blanking a little bit here.
Maiev?
Yeah, Maiev, like, it was just trading, like, one blow back and forth, and eventually wind up convincing her to overextend a little bit. So that was actually really sick.
So something that we saw already in this early game, is a little bit wonky with traded kills at 1 minute, is that Phoenix will actually not only be the top laner, but will be the mid laner. And Ballistix will operate this comp as a 4-man rotating comp. So Phoenix is going to kill 7 minions top, kill 7 minions mid, and this process will repeat. Phoenix can rotate very quickly. In this case, because of everyone being too grouped up, Ballistix is going to move away from that 4-man rotation and take a camp, and then Hooligan will rotate mid because he can't do that much AoE for this. He's bad for camp clear. So in this case, he will just be the solo laner. Well, that's something that, you know, I actually had kind of put out of my mind when we were looking at the draft, but now looking at the game, it makes so much sense that Phoenix can operate as a solo laner. Then you have the rotating power of Valeera.
Oh my god, SDE! That scatter arrow, as soon as all of those shots just impacted his body, I'm like, wow, that is just quite a bit of damage.
I mean, it's Toronto with Hunter's Mark, too. It's like more damage than it's supposed to be, right? Like, yeah, that's quite powerful.
SDE. Rich out there is like, is somebody going to take my job? Just getting randomly picked up like that. Usually also on Ballistix, it's Hooligan that gets kind of randomly picked like that. SDE wants a little bit of a piece of the action.
You know, they've been banning a Nubrock every game, so Hooligan hasn't had a chance. He hasn't had a chance to do any feeding, but...
That's true. SDE is picking up the slack, but now Hooligan, of course, getting in a nice throw, but oh, KCB. What is it with the 3-letter acronyms? Almost dying here. Of course, he is still safe. Lunaflare misses on the disengage, and nothing to be had there.
SC is just getting so much offlane soak done.
Yeah. He's doing exactly what you said.
1 minion, I believe, if he even missed that first minion of the 7.
Yeah.
And like, he's doing so much, which allows Ballistix to use Valeera so aggressively. And she's gaining vision, she's getting opportunities. In this case, just split soaking mid, that's fine.
Well, and the more that, you know, Valeera is able to play aggressively, kind of the safer that also makes Phoenix, because the one liability is that it's very predictable, right? You know exactly where Phoenix is going to be, when he's going to be there, just rotating between lanes. And, you know, we've seen that same strategy kind of abused because you just, know exactly where to gank. He's just always going to make that rotation, but hasn't been able to be exploited yet by GLuck.
Oh, not yet. We're going to see a very aggressive rotation up here by Ballistix, in fact, trying to deal with this Night Camp push that's actually better timed for GLuck than theirs was. And as you can see, the spell armor makes a huge difference here. Jungha gets caught here by the drag. He does have that fort to rotate back to, but here comes Roxer. Ballistix needs to respect the positional advantage that GLuck has. GLuck ends up getting this better trade here. They got better soak, they got a whole wall down here, plus half the fort. So I'd say GLuck has a significant advantage in this game right now. They definitely got the better end of the stick here. As in this moment, for the first time, Valeera just ended up being a dead pick. Didn't accomplish anything. Rotating over now, though.
Yeah, I mean, this is where Valeera absolutely could start kicking ass. The engage on the Mycen, even with how mobile he is, he's
SC?
has to use all of that defensively. KCB very low and eventually will go down. No chance to escape there. That's just going to set up kind of a cascading travesty here. GLuck lose to Ballistix all over that. As soon as they weren't kind of neutered by just playing defensively against that push, they were able to get in there. Very, very good team fight.
When you are playing Tyrande, sometimes you feel like you're infallible because you have double heals for yourself, you have a stun, and, you know, KCB was very far forward there, and they also, you know, sent Tyrion to give the shields. It was nearly the perfect push for GLuck. They had gotten another kill, gotten the fort, everything would have been gravy. I mean, it would have been amazing for them. They just stepped 1 foot over the line. Valeera coming back from Hearth with, you know, full setup to go. Set up those combo points. Easily done.
A nice cheeky tether, but it's Overlord who gets just barely over the wall back to safety, but he is going to be out of the picture for quite a while.
You can see KCB is even willing to trade with SDE on Tyrande. This is something that you absolutely should do if you're a Tyrande player because you're doing damage while getting your cooldowns. I don't know about that play there.
What happened there, but
that was just a mechanical error.
Well, a little. I mean, you have to have like the communication to say, okay, now's the time, but that was not the time.
Well, this is going to be an easy boss take for Ballistix, which is unfortunate for GLuck because they had the better boss take comp if they had 10s, which they do not. Stun comes in here. Rox is going to have Sank. I don't think they can contest this. They're going to try. Sank comes in, but this is going to be short-lived. Hooligan does get taken out. It's a Dragon Strike, in fact.
Dragon Strike and the Starfall. Here's 7-sided to try to turn it, but it's just not.
Look at this rotation for MSG as well.
The punishment is real here. MSG not only gets the top fort, but he's able to come down as well. This is a boss for GLuck, and everything just totally turned around.
Disc is up. This is going to be more than just that. Jungha looking for a trade back kill, but it's Tyrande we're talking about here. So many heals coming out. The resets of those cooldowns from the auto attacks. He survives, and this fort goes down. It's going to be keep wall. SDE, if he dies here, this is insane.
Lunar Flare.
Lunar Flare's up, but they don't have follow-up, so he's just going to save it.
But wow, I mean, what a turnaround. That's 2 forts, boss, multiple kills, a level lead?
Yeah, I mean, that was actually really, I think, in a lot of ways, misplayed by Ballistix. They should have stepped out of the ring and also should have stopped attacking the boss before the Sank was placed because they made it in such a way where they had to fight right after the Sank while they were taking damage. They had to stand on the point because they finished the boss before the Sank was placed. Hooligan's going to look for the catch here on the retreat, but there's just no follow-up, and they know that Overlord is coming back down. Yeah. But GLuck has a massive lead in this game now. I mean, it cannot be overstated, and this is exactly what I was talking about in the draft. They have a comp that could operate around the boss so well with Starfall even, which I did not expect. It's just so difficult to really commit to a fight like Ballistix did there. I think they should have been more patient.
Oh, ho, ho, ho. Gotcha! Oh, that just feels so bad.
Sundering's up.
Yeah, he's going to go for it. Not actually the biggest deal there, but I mean, this should just be lather, rinse, repeat. I mean, thankfully, the Hyperion is there as sort of like the higher tech Starfall. But it's just going to be used as zoning for Ballistix to finish off this bottom temple.
Yeah, I mean, Ballistix gets that initial pick. The Sundering attempt to kill SDE, or rather to kill SC, was intelligent, but now MSG is no Sundering, so you're not getting out of this one. Whoa. If you have Sundering, you can escape there, but he did not, so that's another rotational kill here, and just like that, Ballistix is back into this game through good rotational play with Valeera.
Yeah, I think they basically said, like, wait, we're still much better than them at these specific things. And when it comes to the rotations, it's hard to get better than Ballistix have been. So they're right back on top of the experience, now with an experience slightly lead of their own. They've overcome a level disadvantage and now are pushing back out on the map. And I think it's safe to say that after getting a little bit of a taste of defeat right there, they're going to be much more vigilant the next time around.
Yeah. Okay, set up here for Roxer. Just going to say very risky. When you see a Lunar Flare like that, you know he's just trying to get stacks for his level 4 quest. But stacks he does get. Ballistix has this push they're going to deal with right now and then try to pressure the fort. Look at where Valeera and Muradin are right now. Anyone tries to rotate up around the right side for a flank, notably Thrall, would have been punished. Overlord, there's no safety here.
Nope, that is not the Overlord bush. That's not something that exists here.
There's no Overlord pedestal like there is in StarCraft, you know, where you can hide up there and be safe. Not gonna happen here. It's like, oh, he has to float his barracks to see me. No, not in this case.
Maybe we can get another.
Oh, the Haymaker commitment!
I didn't even notice that he went there. I just kind of assumed it was Avatar, and then I see the Haymaker, and I was like, oh, okay, well, you're going to go for it. But damn, okay, makes it look good. Not a kill to come off of that, but it was fancy.
I mean, MSG goes down here, Asgard, as he normally is called, comes down here and then promptly leaves as he realizes, oh god, I'm going to get killed solo again if I stay in this lane. Knows how... Look at the situation that GLuck is in, and MSG is like, I gotta soak, but like I can't. Look at him on the minimap. He just spins around wildly, trying to be in soak range. Like he's got no options here.
The threat is just
it's so
great.
real. It's so real.
Well, especially once you have it happen to you, you're just gonna be a little bit traumatized for the rest of the game, and that's compounded by Jungha's Valera, which is just so sneaky, can be anywhere. Like now looking for the engage, there's Hooligan coming down, Jungha going in, it looks like Roxer's the target, but it's right back out to safety.
Yep, it's probably the worst target they could have, unfortunately, but gets out of there. Meanwhile, SC holds the, or rather SDE. I'm throwing me off with how they've been playing recently. Well,
it's the three-letter acronyms. There's KCB in there too, just to make it even more fun.
Yeah, it's the, you know, control that comes first for Ballistix. They're going to push with it. They're going to look for this keep right now. As GLuck is unfortunately down a talent tier, one step behind in rotational play. And Asgard being bought actually doesn't mean anything because there's nothing to gain from that, and he's actually not able to flank with this. Ballistix now, in fact, Ballistix turns him into a liability as they rotate down towards him.
Yeah, he does get the recall off, so he won't be able to finish the temple, but he does still get keep damage for keep damage, so at least that is on both sides now. Jungha, oh, there he is, springing the trap. The longest silence in KCB's life. He does get salvoed, but oh wow, the salvo is still enough to kill. I think he just had to commit, go back in. Disc is out, but it doesn't stop SDE for long. Even through the Starfall, I mean, that's Ballistix still committing. And that's the Dragon Strike.
Yeah, I mean, the Dragon Strike commitment, interesting. Earlier it worked out pretty well for them, but it's not going to be very useful in situations like this. Ballistix should be able to easily make this a boss play, and they can even take the second camp afterwards, then leave. In this case, I guess it would be Hooligan to do the bot temple. Look at where Hooligan is right now. He's just gaining vision. Oh, are you guys over here? Okay, that's cool. I'm out of here. Oh, you have to attack me. You can't stay mounted. You can't approach the boss. Now they could take... Look, SC starts the clear here. They can take this bottom camp. They can parlay that into second camp of Siege Giants.
Oh my god. The Ballistix are just taking everything.
Yes.
Every objective. They're getting the finish off the temple that Thrall couldn't finish earlier. They've got the boss pushing without them. They're split soaking as well. There's nothing they can't do at this point. And then this is after they took that really bad first boss fight. Almost wound up losing their keep on the bottom lane, but Ballistix, they turned it aroround. They are the first ones at 18.
Something we talked about Ballistix throughout part 2 in particular has been sometimes the lack of humility in terms of their matchups against the lower teams in HGC Korea. And I think we've seen that probably about 2 major fights, one on BOE and then this one here on Sky Temple on the boss, where, you know, they like, well, we're Ballistix, they're GLuck, you know, they have 10, but we will win this fight, but, I mean, we'll be running Valera, we're going to do this and that, right? But in this case, like, once the dust settles, once you move past that, it's their mechanics that do shine through.
Yeah, I mean, I remember watching that, was it Ballistix versus Feliz series, where you just kind of ask yourself, like, wait, what's happening here? Because Feliz, like, almost looked like they were going to take a game. And then just, you would never have expected that. Big fissure, or it's a Sundering just try to stop Jungha, and it does look like it's effective, catching them out. I don't know about these Dragon Strikes, man, but hey, the moral victory is still there.
You know, there is a slight chance. I'm not even kidding. I know there's going to be like, everyone's going to be like, lol, but...
You're saying it's a misclick?
No, I think that might actually be a chance that he forgot that he picked it in moments like this, because had that been, if they're trying to retreat,
Oh yeah, the
Dragon's Arrow instead. Like, there's stuns, the retreat doesn't go as well, you get kills.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if that was actually just an arrow. Like, he may have actually, like, in his mind been thinking, like, okay, yeah, this is arrow. Oh god, yeah, I picked the wrong heroic.
3 levels, he gets play of the game?
He's got smart casting on, man. He's not looking at that before it goes through. You know what I mean? Like, when he presses R, he means it, but...
Okay, well, maybe the first 3 times would have told him that that time was also the same heroic that he picked, but, yeah, I mean, it slips the mind sometimes.
Well, they do grab this camp. They got that initial pick with a really well-placed Sundering, tracking Valera while cloaked. Again, easier the cloak rework, but... Jungha's done a great job of staying stationary, and that's when you actually will be old school invisible, when you stay stationary like that. That's when you can't, the outline cannot be seen. Well, look at this, just a backdoor temple down in the bot lane, or down at the bot temple by SC. And they should be able to deflect this pressure without taking too many losses. The keep, they lose worst case scenario. Disc does not connect here.
Oh, wow, so a miss on the heroic there for Myzen. Does know that his time here should be limited. Lots of damage onto KCB, but the turnaround with the Sundering, not actually all that scary. And here's the Hyperion to add extra damage on the retreat. But is Ballistix actually overextending themselves? Low health bars for Hooligan. And Jungha, so they can't realistically super commit, but it's all about just pushing GLuck back, keeping them back. And keep in mind, Phoenix is still rotating up.
Yeah, Hooligan actually set that up so well. Now he's going to get the jump here onto MSG. This pull actually does more harm than good to GLuck, because now Myson's going to die because of it. He killed himself essentially here. I mean, SC was going to pick up the pieces anyways, but this whole fight happens this well for Ballistix because Hooligan was hiding in the brush, had Haymaker, knocked KCB in, and not only they saved the keep, but they turn it into a full team wipe on the retreat for GLuck. They all get caught and killed. And yeah, that pull was less than ideal, shall we say. Now they're going to get both keeps down. And it's not yet game because of the kind of decent spawn here of Harazim. But, I mean, they will have all the keeps dead. And this is 20 advantage that GLuck will not be able to neutralize. Like, this game is game, set, and match essentially now. Like, how does GLuck come back here? You know, all the pressure against him macro-wise.
I'm just thinking, Wolf, obviously, if you kill the keep and lose 5 members of your team, that's better than just losing 5 members of your team. But it always feels bad if you make the call to just like, okay, we're gonna suicide 5 people to just kill a keep, right? So at what point do you realize, oh wait, we've overextended, we should just try to get anything we can here?
I mean, I think this is the moment where everyone is thinking, like, why wasn't anyone calling out where Hooligan was? Like, why weren't we discussing that? Because when you don't know where Hooligan is, you can't make this play. And they did not. And they just weren't thinking about it. Here's another Haymaker.
Exact same situation. KCB gets Haymakered right back into the middle of the team. And this time, it's not the immediate focus on him. And again, the stray Dragon Strike is out there. But Hooligan is just the playmaker with a Haymaker, right? He starts the fight off. He's maintaining the fight. Even if he does go down there, I mean, the rest of his team's cleaning up everything else.
Yeah, MSG's got bold. He's looking for this flank there onto SDE. 7 sides going to finish him off. And that should be game over. Full team wipe. No catapults yet, but they're on the way. And I mean, this is just really well played by Hooligan once again. The setup after the containment disc for Ballistix, they knew how to come out of that, put Phoenix in position to do maximum damage. And so, Ballistix takes a 3-0. The end of the season and the end of 2018 for GLuck, I think, was at the very simplest, very similar to how it started. And this is a team that will have to adapt if they want to find themselves in 2019 HGC